on a mission, and we're going to fight hard each and every day, no matter what hit pieces come our way, no matter who tries to take us down. We're going to fight, fight, fight.
The story of America is the story of an adventure that began with deep faith, big dreams, and humble beginnings.
At certain times when it seemed that there was just no hope, those are the times that turned out to be the best.
Never, ever give up. America is beginning a new chapter. Starting on day one, we ended the illegal invasion of America. That's an invasion by criminals, many, many criminals, murderers, drug dealers, prisoners. They emptied out their prisons into our country. And we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border and created the most secure border in U.S. history, one of the most secure borders anywhere in the world, with zero illegal aliens coming into our country. In the past 11 months, zero. And in 2025, we achieved the largest drop in violent crime ever recorded. That's despite all of these people that came into our country. Many of them are now gone, I'm pleased to tell you. The murder rate, isn't it a terrible thing to be talking about murder? But you got to say it. At least if it's good news. I guess it's good news. But the murder rate reached the lowest level in over 125 years. 1900. The year 1900, before my father was born. My father was great. Before he was born, the flow of deadly fentanyl pouring across our border is down by an astounding 59%. And as you probably noticed, if you watch the news, illegal drugs coming in by ocean or sea are down by 97%. 97. And we're trying to find out who the 3% is, because I consider them to be perhaps the bravest people anywhere in the world.
Yes, hello and welcome everybody to another episode 2 of MAGA versus the World. This is going to be a fun experience as always, and boy, that's like a pretty epic QCOM right there. And you know, I'm pretty critical of QCOMs, right? I know we get frustrated going back and forth sometimes, but dude, that's like, I mean, holy crap. And this is a pre-written speech, right? So as all of his are. So either one or two things. Either that was written right into the speech, which means, wow, or he went into that speech knowing, okay, it's April 17th. At some point, I'm dropping 4 booms. And I got to say, you know, originally, we saw people were sharing the 3 booms, right? And they were like, oh, yes, this is so awesome. And I'm thinking in my head, I was like, oh, I would love to illustrate that and make it pop out. And we're like, man, it would be great if it was 4. But then Abby's mom said there was 4. She goes, let it play. And so we let the thing play. And sure enough, the 4th boom is right there in that same statement too. So it's not like in my head at first you're like, okay, what does he say it like a minute later or something? No, it's right in that same statement. And I'm going to bring this on stage right now because here's the deal. They are separated. The 3 in this, the whole reason this is an 8-year delta, because that was on April 17th, right? If we go here, this was him speaking at the Turning Point USA's Phoenix rally, April 17th. So this is like a direct delta, April 17th.
8 years.
And he goes, he says 3 at first. The first 3 all have periods. And then the 4th one is different, that's the exclamation point. And he says, boom, boom, boom. And then makes the final big statement, exclamation point, boom. I was literally, again, that's, if you're wondering if they're active, there you go.
Yeah, dude, I know what I was saying. Like, it wasn't that it was just phrasing it. It was a delta, and it's a big delta. And also, I kind of lean towards the first thing that you mentioned of it being written in the speech. I don't know. It just felt like it was.
Yeah, probably.
And if that's true, then, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
We're riding. We're riders, riding, aren't we? I feel so excited.
Dude, everyth's been amping up. It's funny. We've said this a lot. I know I used to say this all the time. There were different things like, when's he going to be more forthright with the way he's speaking and start speaking to the American public the way he speaks to us here on the boards? Well, holy crap, we've been seeing that now for like 2 or 3 years. So Trump is just like, boom. And especially this last year. And then now just everything is happening. They're just every freaking week there's something crazier. There's so much stuff happening that when they were blowing the drug boats out of the water, just like one of the craziest things ever, which also, that's the real war on drugs, not arresting some dude on the corner for a 20 bag of weed. That's the fake war on drugs. The real war on drugs is blowing narco terrorists out of the water. So much stuff has happened that doesn't even feel like a big deal anymore. That's how crazy 2026 has been.
I know, it's been such a wild ride. And you're right. Over time, like when you discovered, that they were putting all the videos of them, blowing up the different ships that were coming in with illegal drugs. And it's like, it's ongoing, guys. So it's so funny. All people come on and like, just regular trolls and comments say nothing's happening. I'm like, bro, open your eyes. Like, you must be blind. So much stuff is happening at every single angle, whether it's health, whether it's, farming food, whether it's the economy, whether it's just everything. Just Trump is changing and fixing and bringing peace. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. I am so here for it. And the Q posts, the boards. So I'm going to say about that. If you want to know where they're posting now, just type in Department of. Check them all out. They're all taking turns. It could be the Department of Energy one day. It could be the White House. They're all over the place. You will find them. You will see them if you know what I'm talking about. So it's super exciting. And it's great to have that communication, isn't it? And I think that's a lot of the reason they do it.
It really is. And I like what Raw Shark Loves is saying here. It's not about one big event. It's the cumulative effect of many smaller events. Yes. And that's what we've been watching. I mean, especially now now it's the cumulative effect of many big events. But it's funny because anything that happens, especially under Kash, if you ever see like Kash, she'll be like, we just arrested 20 pedophiles in Operation Enduring Freedom or whatever, right? Yeah. And people are like, whatever, what about Epstein? What about Epstein? What about Epstein? So this is the move. This is why Trump says it's a hoax. It's not a hoax. Obviously, he's the one who told us about it for the last 20 years. So obviously we know where Trump stands, but when he's saying it's a hoax to the people, to the press, it's telling you that the fact that anything he does, this guy's doing the biggest moves ever made, and then there'll be trolls in the comments be like, when's someone gonna do something about Epstein? When are the Epstein arrests gonna start? Like, I don't know, 2019?
Yeah, like he was arrested.
Stay with me now. Epstein? Okay. Oh yeah. When's someone gonna do something about it? Oh, you mean like maybe arrest Epstein, shut down his island, arrest his maid, madam, and then release 3 million of his files on a searchable database? Yeah. When's someone going to do something about this Epstein? Hello, read the room, guys. Holy shit. The biggest bunch of hicks in the human history. Shut up. Clearly, stuff is being done about Epstein. So it's pretty cool time to be alive right now. And
the saving of the children is a huge thing too, Brad, because like that is one of the things that Q often would say is like, it's always about the children when it really comes down to it. And I was having a conversation with my mom earlier, it was last night. And I'm like, you know what? I want to bring back the Jesus rules for that. I know it's harsh, but I'd be like, I would go to Congress and like put a thing that I would like to implement what is called the Jesus rule, which means if you harm a child, you get a millstone put around your neck and you throw it in the ocean. I mean, like, let's go. Like, I know that's extreme, but the only reason why, so basically death penalty. And the reason why is because then it will be what? A deterrent. This is how we stop these things. One of the main things in the Q post is like, these people are sick. They're not only, going after children, I don't even want to get into it. They're just doing terrible things. There's breeding programs. There's, like I've said before on my channel, cannibalism and vampirism. And it goes so deep and it's so dark. And the Q posts talk about that. Things that people don't want to maybe even think about. So when you see Trump doing a Q-com like this, you're like, maybe there is some evil there. Maybe there is some actual real evil that has been happening. And he's draining the swamp. He is obliterating the deep state. I love that term. And super excited. Super excited, Brad.
Yeah, very cool. And very cool things are happening. Again, every single week, every time you turn around, new things. We weren't even going to really cover this, but just I just feel like it's worth the mention. You saw him with Joe Rogan. Obviously, it's funny. Joe Rogan, that dude flies with the wind. Again, another one that I thought I was going to have a mea culpa because I didn't love the direction he had gone for so many years. Then he kind of came around and was starting to act cool. And then recently, now he's been talking crap again. I think he called Trump supporters nerds or something like that. Like, I'm a nerd. Dude, please give me a break, dude. This guy's so fickle. But now there he is because Trump legalized using certain psychedelics in testing to see if it could help as a natural cure for certain things, as opposed to all these freaking pills. And that's, again, what they did with opening up medical marijuana research on higher scales. The Trump administration has been doing a lot of stuff with this to find natural cures for things, natural painkillers, natural.
And isn't it funny, Brad? Those were all the things that they made illegal.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that they can't be used wrongly, but I'm telling you this, and we've had this conversation before. If there's anything that really messes with people and makes them crazy drug addicts and crazy, it's the pills. And that's all coming from big pharma in the end of the day. Let's just be honest about it. If Billy Bob could have just grown some cannabis in his backyard and had a mushroom microdosing, he wouldn't have had to go to big pharma. He wouldn't have had to go, you know what I mean? Do you see how that, I don't know. It's such a wild conspiracy when you look at it. That's why I love Maha, is because I've seen what RFK Jr. is doing. He knows, and he's dismantling that old system. It's just beautiful. But go ahead. I took it from you.
They got the right people in there. And you know what, really quick, do we have the post from Hegseth, what he said this morning?
Oh, bro. Yeah.
Oh, actually,
I have it. I have it.
Yeah, if you could pull that up, because my ex is kind of acting a little weird.
Oh, is it still? Oh, man.
Well, I could try.
Poor Brad. He's been.
I know it did come up.
Glitching.
Okay, actually, I can share it.
No mandatory. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, dude, check this out, because I didn't.
Under the.
There we go. Okay, let me make this full screen, because this kind of goes along again with all this artificial chemical garbage that they're just giving you. And I will say this really quick too, just to square the circle on what we were just saying. I grew up around a lot of people, right? So you're gonna have a lot of instances of everything. But I'd say I probably knew at varying levels of closeness upwards of 10 people have OD'd over the course. So most of it was in my 20s and 30s. And almost all of them, a lot of them OD'd on heroin, but they all started on pills. It was all like those Oxycontins and Roxicets. There's all these freaking painkiller pills, or, they messing with Xanax and drinking on Xanax and stuff. So this is why it's nice to see people doing research on natural drugs. And then also, now we're going to get this. Let me let this play, because this is also the other side of that.
Under the disastrous Biden administration, this Pentagon waged an unrelenting war on our warriors on many fronts, including when it came to denying them simple medical autonomy and the freedom to express their religious convictions. In other words, our men and women in uniform were forced to choose between their conscience and their country, even when those decisions posed no threat to our military readiness. You know what I'm talking about, what happened, COVID-19 and the vaccine. No more. That era of betrayal is over. Under President Trump, the War Department continues to take decisive action to once again restore freedom and strength to our joint force. We're seizing this moment to discard any absurd, overreaching mandates that only weaken our warfighting capabilities. In this case, this includes the universal flu vaccine and the mandate behind it. The notion that a flu vaccine must be mandatory for every service member everywhere in every circumstance at all times is just overly broad and not rational. Our new policy is simple. If you, an American warrior entrusted to defend this nation, believe that the flu vaccine is in your best interest, then you are free to take it. You shouldn't. But we will not force you, because your body, your faith, and your convictions are not negotiable. Your health. It's common sense. It's the kind of common sense approach we're undertaking in this department. Rest assured that under President Trump, the War Department will always honor our brave warriors and do everything we can to restore the American people's trust in their military for generations to come. And that's why I'm proud to sign this new policy.
Thank God.
I love it, dude.
Bro,
How
let's
freaking
go.
cool is that?
Now, I did write it as it was going by. He does it. Now, he admits in there, Brad, it weakens the war fighter's capabilities. And then he goes on to say you can make your own choices, okay?
Yeah.
But he actually, if you rewind that, everybody watching, he actually admits that. And it wasn't about the COVID. He was saying it was about the flu, the mandatory flu. So this does fall right along with what's happening with Maha, doesn't it? They are trying to fix what the global cabal was pushing on all of us, on our bodies, through food, through water, medicine, vaccination. And you went into that with the vaccinations, like who is it that first started that whole big push about everybody getting vaccinated? Woodrow Wilson? No.
Well, it was around then, right, where vaccinations in general, I know it was the polio vaccine, I think was one of the first ones, but really where everything ramped up was in the 80s. They had the Childhood Vaccine Initiative, and this was largely funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, who the Rockefellers are infamous for being obsessed with population control. So the two things shouldn't be together, and that's why I named that my COVID-19 documentary that I released in 2021, I named it Population Control, because all the big names that support vaccinations, worldwide vaccinations, Childhood Vaccination Initiative, they're all obsessed with population control. I'm sorry, dude. If you're like Ted Turner, right? He still on CNN. He owns the Braves. Is a massive billionaire guy. He's on, I believe it was Charlie Rose, is one of the clips that I had in that documentary, where he's talking about there's too many people who do using too much stuff. If we don't blah, 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 the world is going to collapse into fiery death. And right, you're talking about the population. That guy, he runs massive vaccination initiatives across the globe. He made the UN, I believe, the United Nations Foundation. That might not be the exact name, but it's some sort of random United Nations Foundation. He started it, and then one of the main things is global vaccinations. Obviously, Bill Gates, big into population control, big into vaccinations. The Rockefellers, John D. Rockefeller III, when John D. Rockefeller Jr. passed and left him and David and Nelson, the other sons, the fortune, the first thing he did in like, I don't know, it was the 50s or 60s, is made the population council, which was about population control. That's why all the boomer generation in the 50s and 60s, they were hit with a lot of propaganda about only having 2 kids. That's when all the you should only have 2 kids propaganda started. It all started because of John D. Rockefeller III. And you have famous clip of David Rockefeller talking about world population is going to be a catastrophic disaster in the early 90s. Okay, so when you read that the Rockefeller Foundation was the main driving force between the childhood vaccine initiative of the 80s, which took it from a couple vaccines in the early 80s till by the time you reach the 90s, they're getting all these crazy shots. That's concerning.
Like I love how you outline this. Okay, like my mind is, it's like this. Imagine someone's tasked. They're like, all right, we have a problem. There's too many people having too many babies. We need to fix this. Okay, let me think of a problem. I have a thing that helps people live longer. Let's give this to them. Okay, like it doesn't make sense, bro. Your problem is like, so why would you be giving them unless, maybe the vaccine doesn't help them live longer. Maybe the vaccine makes them die sooner, right? As we've looked into things with vaccines, what a lot of the times they do is they will trigger the immune response in your body. So whatever pre-existing condition you had before will become flared, right?
Yes.
It's proven. They'll even tell you you're going to be feeling gross for a few days after the flu shot. It's okay. Oh, you're going to have terrible pain at the area site. It's like, bro, you just took something. Anyways, it's wild. It's wild what we've been subjected to. And even the babies, as soon as they come out, they get like, if you say yes to all the things that the doctors, and this was when I had 7 kids, if you say yes to everything that they throw at you, the kids will be at least having like 8 shots right there as soon as they come out of their mother that day. Yeah, scary.
Oh, that is super scary.
And then they take their babies home, and then people have all of a sudden their child dies. And they're like, I don't know what happened. So yeah, it's one of those things. And I know people have talked about that in depth, of course, but there has been a lot of vaccination injuries and deaths over the years. So take that as what you will. Definitely. I love that. To finish it off, I love the idea that they're bringing that back to our military. So it's not going to be a deterrent of people going, I don't want to go there because I have to be forced to get vaccinated. Guess what? You don't have to anymore. Now you can join the coolest, greatest military in the world. So that's great.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder, I know when they go overseas, there are some like vaccinations they probably have to get, depending, for certain things pertaining to it. I'll go from memory. If there's any military in the chat, let me know. But you have to get the COVID vaccine, which is amazing. And the flu shot. Okay, so this is what brings us back around to the flu shot, is that what's the one shot that always, since we're kids, you have to get the flu shot every year? My parents, they stopped getting us the flu shot because when I was a kid, I think I was in grade school, they gave us all flu shots in school, and I got the flu, and I was the sickest I've ever been probably in my whole freaking life. Well, maybe not literally, but it was super sick. And my parents were like, well, that's weird. You just got the flu shot, and now you just got a rowdy flu. We're not going to do that anymore. And I've gotten sick here and there, but I don't think I've ever gotten like a full-on crazy flu ever again. So what does it mean that that's a pretty baked into our society deal that people will get a flu shot every single year? So every single year, they're putting poison in you. I think they were trying to do round 2 with COVID. And so honestly, why? They should be optional. They both should be optional. It's a free country. Listen, if you want to get the freaking shot, get the shot. But you should not be mandated. And in the military, that's massive that he just ended that.
I agree. 100%. Hey, I see what you got down there. You should pull it up.
Should I? Okay, I was going to ask
Yeah.
you. It's a little long, but it's could be
good.
worth a watch.
It's good.
Okay, so this mom had 7 kids and kind of unintentionally did a little vaccine study. Let's hear about it, because this is very revealing and interesting.
And what I'm going to tell you is going to shock you. I would tell you right now just to get it over with, but I just can't do that. So if you actually want to listen, do. If not, well, you're going to miss out. I was raised in a family that was pro medical field, just like everybody else. So when I was a little girl up through when I got married, we did everything by the book of lies. Okay, we did it all. When I had my first baby, it was in 2005. Just like most people, I vaccinated her. She, well, let me just say this. I vaccinated her. I had another one, vaccinated her, had another little boy. And by this time, I was really tired and really not good about well visits, okay? Because I was stressed out with all the little toddlers and baby. So he got his first couple of rounds through his vaccinations. But by the time he was like 12 months old, I already had another baby. They were back to back. So this time though, I had learned some things about childhood, these things. And so I had talked to my husband and I said, I really don't want to do that. I just don't feel like we should do that. And my husband said, okay. Now, before she was born, I had my first 3 children who were all, they all got their childhood vaccines. If y'all are just wondering what I'm saying, just in case. The first 3 had so many ear infections, and that's all they got. They didn't get strep throat or anything, but they had so many sinus and ear infections that by the time they were a year old, and it was right before their first birthday, all 3 of them had tubes in their ears. Okay, all 3 of them. So
yeah, I think I'll just stop it for 1 second. I think that's an important marker right there. So the first 3 kids all had vaccinations. She has 7 in total. First 3 all had vaccinations, and they're all getting ear infections or earaches. It would say ear
infections. And having the tubes is so that it can drain. So what happens is that it's swelling and then just full of this earwax, and it gets bad, like pus.
Sounds bad. I don't think I've ever had an ear infection. You've had ear infections before?
I've had a few when I was younger, and one of my sisters had pretty bad ones like that. Okay. Yeah. So I know what she's talking about. That's wild.
Okay, so that's the base right there. And now the 4th child is the first one that she's gonna try not vaccinating.
When I was pregnant with my 4th, I said, oh, I wish this baby would just be born with tubes in its ears. I remember saying that because it's just like that. That changed everything. Once that baby got tubes, they were good to go. No more ear infections, and my life, got easier. Well, so I decided not to do that with her. I wasn't going to follow that routine. And she was born in February. So by the time, fall gets here, I'm thinking she's going to get a cold. I'm just thinking the normal stuff's going to happen. Note, I have never put them in school. I homeschool and I stay home with them. And I don't actually really even do the homeschool thing. I am totally different than everybody that you will ever meet, pretty much. But I don't, they've never been in like daycare and stuff, okay? But they went out just like normal kids. We went and did things. So they got exposed to all the same germs, grocery store stuff. So it's not like just because the next part of my story does not matter because the situation never changed. Okay. Molly is my fourth, and she, like I said, born in February. She got her first cold in later fall. And I was like, here we go. And you know, mamas, you know what happens. They get runny nose, and then a few days later, the fever. And you know what it is. So you just take the doctor. You go to the doctor, and you know that you're about to get on an antibiotic. Well, Molly had a runny nose for 2 days, and by the third day, it was gone. Nothing else. And I was like, that's different. But I didn't think anything about it. I did, but I didn't connect anything. So then I don't remember how many times that she got sick again, but she never got an ear infection. So I had my fifth, and it was another girl. Same thing with her. No vaccines, no nothing. Sixth, same thing, another girl. No vaccines, no nothing. And seventh, we had a boy. No, none of that, obviously. Okay, so the situation, first three were, the last four weren't. And the thing that I wanted to share is that they have never gone to the doctor before. The last four
Crazy.
have never been on an antibiotic before.
Aww.
They've never needed an antibiotic because they never have gotten an infection at all.
Wow.
They've never had any kind of ear infection, sinus infection,
Lung infection,
like strep. I mean, nothing. They've never had to go to the doctor because they were sick unless they had needed for stitches, if they needed something that was an emergency. And that's happened before. We had stitches, but that was it. And so point is, the science experiment that I did not mean to have showed me the proof. The proof is that, and you would not know this unless you went through it. You would not know for sure. I was scared to death when I stopped doing that at the beginning because of what people had said. People were telling me that I was crazy and I was gonna, my dad even thought I was gonna kill my kids. He told me that, later on. He thought that they were going to catch something and then not be able to fight it. But the truth is that was just all, it was all a scam.
Yeah.
It was all a scam to keep us really, really, really unhealthy. To keep us unhealthy, to keep us enslaved. And I'm telling you one thing, I have been in both worlds. Okay. I have lived both sides of the coin in every situation, pretty much. And it's all a lie.
Wow.
Damn.
That is freaking nuts. That's the Brody chick, 19. I'm sure her TikTok's crazy with 7 kids. Holy crap.
Yeah.
But that's an unintentional 3 vaccinated, 4 not vaccinated. The 3, nothing but ear infections in and out of the doctors all the time. The 4 never sick. Go there for stitches because they're probably healthy, crazy kids.
And they don't want you knowing that. Think, if we go to the very extreme conspiracy world, right? If you follow me, you'll get these things sent in the mail every month. Bring your child in, need to get a well visit, need to get a well visit. Why do they want you? It's almost like they want everybody to go in so nobody sees the test, the control group, right? Isn't it? When you do science experience, you got to have that control group so you know what the heck's going on everyone else. Well, if you have no control group, nobody knows what's really going on. So that's probably why they force it. That's probably why they really always are against, and they'll make the mothers feel bad. I know my mom went through that kind of stuff too. Well, you love your kid, don't you? You should take them in.
Yeah.
Or we were all homeschooled. Oh, how dare you? You're keeping them from society. And mom's looking at society in public school going, that's okay.
We know. That's why we're doing it.
I'm keeping them from that. This is what mom told me. She said, this was always my response. Who would send a lamb into a forest of wolves?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not going to send my little lambs into a forest of wolves or something like that. That's what she would say. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Yeah, it's good. Profound.
I always think of middle school for me. We moved to New Jersey when I was in grade school, but I don't know, grade school was kind of normal, but I was always just happy-go-lucky kid. And, I had a huge family of 20 first cousins on one side and I don't know. I just figured it out the other day too. I don't know, 12 on the other side.
Wow.
And close with both sides of family. So I was always with family as a kid growing up. And then you go to school and it was what it was. And then in middle school, they combined these schools and I got bullied really, really bad in 6th and 7th grade until I got left back. And it's funny because it is like that. So me is I'm always around my family, my cousins, and everyone's positive and cool and nice. And so here I am I'm going to 6th grade. And all of a sudden I'm getting punched in the stomach and shoved into lockers. I'm like, what? What is this? And we were pretty poor. So, I had clothes from the Salvation Army and stuff like that. So I'd get made fun of because I didn't have the new hot clothes. And it is jarring, dude. School is jarring. Now, the flip end of that is, I got my ass kicked pretty bad at the end of 7th grade where I came home all busted up. Come home all busted up, shirt ripped, fucking lumps all over my face.
No.
Like a real fight. It's funny. You see bullying on TV. Let me tell you something. There's a difference between you're a dork in some TV show and then New Jersey early 90s bullying where you get your face punched in. So then my dad was like, oh my God, I didn't realize, it's not like I went home and declared it every day. It's embarrassing. So my dad was like, holy crap, I'm teaching you how to fight. And then he spent that whole summer teaching me how to fight. And then, you go to school next year, you kick a couple asses. All of a sudden the bullying stops. And it's funny, you almost can't even teach kids that anymore because, fighting's so bad. But it really is the only thing that works. It worked for me. And then I had a very nice high school experience. But
yeah, and it's standing up for what was right. Even though it was a physical thing.
Yeah.
But you were taught to stand up for what's right and resist that. But you're right. What a sad thing to just waltz on in. I can see you too. I'm going to school.
Hey, Mom. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh, classic. But I guess a good thing did come out of it. But that's public school, man. Honestly, I don't blame people at all for homeschooling, especially now. Now you add the indoctrination part. At least we were learning normal stuff back then. It was probably very subtle indoctrination, but now they just straight up it's like a commie mill. So for the double, I would definitely support homeschooling for anyone. And then they have these homeschooling initiatives. There was someone who I met, a couple of years ago doing this dude, Dennis, and he was putting together something. He was working with people where they were putting together each state, what are the different rules for homeschooling to make it so people can go there, because they try to make it confusing. So it's trying to make it less confusing. I always thought that was cool. I should look up that program and see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do remember there was always separation. They would always do since we were homeschooled, we couldn't play in sports. And there was also the vaccination thing. And obviously that hasn't fallen down onto the schools yet. But seeing the pattern that's coming out of the White House, man, I'm telling you, the speed of the things that are happening and the speed of good things. These are for healing our bodies, protecting us from this population control, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Trump is really fighting the global cabal. I'm just going to say it. He really is. And, we're all in it together. That's the coolest thing. And it's just super exciting just to be in this moment. That's why it's me and Brad are we are going to celebrate every single win here. Winning all day long. And I see all you guys in my chat. It's so good to see you.
There's abundance of stuff. And, there's big things. This is the only person who's ever tried to push back against this system our whole lives. So you're either on board or you're not. That's the way I look at it. Are you trying to help right now, or are you being a hindrance to, again, the only person who's ever tried to do anything? This is what I don't get with the people who they're upset at Trump perpetually. One, obviously, that gets lots of clicks. So I think some are doing it for that. Then there are some who are doing it for real. But he's already proven, hand over fist, 1,000,000 times over, that they're going for it. They're trying right now to, one, be an awesome president, right? That is what he ran on in 2016 before we knew what was thing. And oh my God, he has so done that. In his first term, he's doing it again. Then they also told us on the boards that behind that they were going to try and dismantle the men in black suits who are behind the scenes, pulling the strings and pushing this progressive liberal nightmare on the world. So they said, we're also going to try and dismantle that. That's what we learned on the boards a year later. That really amps it up. So for the people who maybe they're upset with Trump because the bar is just so high, because he is being a really awesome president. So the fact that the bar is so much higher that people are still upset, what are you upset at him for? Are you upset that maybe you think he's not going to be able to pull it off? So you're mad at him? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't get it. And it's really weird to me that you wouldn't be trying to at least aid in any way. I mean, this is so cool and exciting. And again, no one's ever done anything like this in my lifetime. And I'm pretty sure no one's ever going to really do it after. So might as well be here for it. And that is why we have this segment. This is quickly becoming my favorite segment on the show. MAGA Weekly. MAGA Weekly is the part of the show where we're going to go over different things that the Trump administration is doing. Obviously, we jumped it a little bit with some of the other things that they're doing because they're always doing so much and going
so
back.
Much.
But this week has to do with presidential determinations on energy. And boy, he signed, 5 determinations yesterday that I think are really cool. This is it. It goes back to an EO he did. Here we go. So basically, the ramp up of this original executive order that he passed in January 20th, first day. So this is one of those. He probably signed this one on stage, and this is about unleashing energy, unleashing America's energy potential. There was another EO that goes with this one, but he was also declaring a national energy emergency. And the crux of a lot of these, kind of, if you get down to it, it's almost in a way telling us that our grid needs to be upgraded, that we're actually in not as great shape as we think. And there's a lot of cool things going on with that, the small nuclear reactors that they've been working on now. And these are Gen 4 nuclear reactors. And they're going to be smaller. So they might not put out as much as the Gen 3s or the Gen 2s, but they will be much, much smaller. And if they were the same size, they'd put out way more. And so those are in the works. For the United States, we have in the 50s of nuclear power plants right now, and they're all Gen 2, except for, I believe, 2 of them. 2 of them are Gen 3s that were built in the 90s. Other than that, nothing. So these new Gen 4s, they will be, again, there's already 3 that have started production. They're going to be small. These are they're starting off small, but if they can really pull it off, especially with these small ones, they'll be a little more personal. It could be for towns. You don't have to have these big, massive things, but I think they might even be doing big things too. But again, this is the crux of a lot of that.
I was just going to say, think about that. 50 years. So you're saying the prior ones that we've had are from the 80s?
Yeah, I guess
to
70s,
80s,
80s. I'm not sure when all of them were built, but
2000s.
we have all Gen 2s. And I know the
Think
Gen
about that.
3s were built in the early 90s. So obviously the other ones had to be built before that.
Okay, but just in general, like that means that we are using such old technology, if you want to say it. So this is going to be huge. What an amazing update in our lives. You know, I love it. I love it.
Yes, it's awesome. But you know what? There are lots of things of power too. So it's cool. We got those going on right now. But this executive order and these presidential determinations that build on it are about even more. So let's take a look at what he signed. He signed 5 of them. First one here, it's presidential determination for domestic petroleum production, refining, and logistics capacity. Okay. So basically what this is, this determination finds that the U.S. petroleum production, refining, and logistics infrastructure are essential to national defense. It directs federal support to expand capacity and address shortfalls that could impair defense capabilities. So this one is towards oil. This is to strengthen our oil facilities and also production, and to put our funds, the American funds, towards that, which is pretty awesome. Second one, then he went to natural gas. Again, this is another one. Again, I love natural gas. And I love that we talked last week about the pipelines, plural, that are being worked on right now. They just broke ground on the one in Pennsylvania. They're going to New York, and they have others working. Natural gas I think it's a little better than propane, but propane actually comes from natural gas too, right? I believe they're linked up together. And this one, it targets natural gas infrastructure, including transmission, processing, storage, LNG facilities. Now, it's got an emphasis on supporting allies through reliable exports as well. It seeks to boost domestic capacity for diversified, affordable energy supply.
Amen. I remember my dad briefly talking about natural gas. He would always just say things like exactly what Trump's doing here. He'd go, man, why don't they use natural gas for all these other things? Like he was even thinking about like cars and all these different versions. And I'm like, what's natural gas? You know, because we use propane here all the time. Here in Alaska, it's more common. So this is exciting. These are things that will change everything. And also make us self-sustainable. That's the key.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, well, this is obviously, these things have all been really neglected with all the climate hysteria. That's really, a lot of this is a pushback on, the climate craziness, right? And they've been really rolling back a lot of EPA and stupid crap with greenhouse gases and having to report greenhouse gases and things like that. So, and then that coupled with this, where they're really lightening up regulations and they're going with it. And what these determinations basically evoke is Section 303 of the Defense Production Act of 1950, which will direct federal resources towards expanding capacity in key energy sectors, as we're seeing here. In these, he cites threats to national defense from insufficient domestic production, supply chain vulnerabilities, and rising energy costs. So basically, like you're saying, become self-sufficient. They do build, again, on that executive order that I was showing you. And they're going to accelerate projects through federal funding, purchases, priorities, and other support available to the Department of Energy. And we got the third one here is tried and true, good old coal. This is focuses on coal mining, logistics, the rail, barge terminals, baseload power plants. And this determination aims to maintain and expand reliable coal-fired generation for grid stability and national defense needs. Again, national defense is around all this. but that's another great one. And then these last two, they go into the infrastructure. The fourth one's very specifically is covering transformers, transition lines, substations, high voltage equipment, and supply chains in general. And this is the one, these two are the ones that made me think a little. I think they're trying to say, hey, our infrastructure and our grid isn't as up to date as it could be, but also probably not as sturdy as it could be.
Right. And coming at the angle of it being a national threat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I think that's allowing them to get these things to happen quick and fast, which they need to, obviously.
Yes.
But it's working it works good for us. Let's put it that way. And then you think about it. These grids are old. Like, you guys think about it. Nobody's driving car. I mean, maybe here, but like from the 80s, and these are the types of grids we're using. Stuff from the 80s and the 90s, like 50 years old, 40 years old. And this is great. I mean, again, something like this alone could make a president be known for his whole term. He was the president that fixed the power grid. Like, Trump's literally like, I'm going to do the power grid. I'm going to fix the whole nuclear problem. I'm going to, right? You know what I'm talking about? It's wild, but I love it. I love it. And I'm here for it. I'm excited. Hopefully.
It's absolutely awesome. Absolutely. And again, more infrastructure talk with number 5. And this is more of a broader determination, supporting the engineering, permitting, financing, deployment of large-scale energy projects. So this is where I believe some of the nuclear might come in, but also probably other just power plants and different things. And again, this is like finding locations to use for it. So these are edicts for to really ramp up everything that's going on. The Department of Energy now has the authority and straight up directive to direct purchases, loans, incentives for qualifying projects under these determinations. And I think that is pretty freaking huge. This is significant escalation in Trump administration's energy dominance agenda, prioritizing the classics: oil, coal, natural gas, and infrastructure. So you can't go wrong with any of those.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. Right. This is there's a lot of moves basically happening right now, especially what happened in Venezuela, what's happening right now in Iran, and also what was opened up right off the bat. Things like drill, baby, drill, things that are going on in Alaska right now and all across the country. Now also more ramp ups for literally every single energy sector that we have. Trump, by the time he's out of office, dude, we are going to be a fully revitalized country.
Yes. I love that. Revitalized, reborn.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful thing. And, in our Constitution, it says when any form of government is destructive to these ends, it's the right of the people to abolish and rebuild it again. And we've interpreted to, restore the government, because the government, as we know, has not been serving us. And that's what Trump has been doing. So whether you're coming from angles, oh, this is interesting, this president's doing amazing things, or you're at the angle from, let's say, my standpoint of watching him for 8 years, alongside with the QComs, the Q posts, I can see exactly what he's doing. He's doing what he's always said. And he said it from the very beginning, I'm standing in between you and them. I'm just standing in the way, is what he's saying. But not only now, he's not only standing now, he is literally fighting back. This is in Star Wars, Brad, what's the one? The Empire Strikes. Well, I guess we're not the Empire, but with the rebels. The rebels fight back, right? Our heritage. We are rebels.
Return of the Jedi, man.
Return of the Jedi. There we go.
He got in office in 2016, well, technically 2017, and it was this great new hope for all of us who are not happy with the state of the world. And then the Empire struck back, and they stole the election and implanted their potato, Joe Biden, which was a little added extra insult to injury. And now we have return of the POTUS, which is such a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Let's go. All right.
As for everyone who came for Rumble, just real quick, I'm trying to reconnect it. I don't know what happened, and it won't reconnect. So, well, I guess you can't hear. But if you're found us on Rumble or
your
YouTube,
Rumble's down.
No, by Pilled disconnected.
Oh, okay. Pilled disconnected.
Yeah.
Dang it. Come over, Rumble, guys.
Now,
all right,
you
Brad,
have some pretty cool stuff that you've been showing me. Jay, we've been kind of holding off here, but this is exciting to me.
Yeah. So we're gonna first start out. I will play a video because I walked through it pretty well in the video. Okay, where is my screen share? Okay, so we're gonna jump back into more comms, and I did cover this on my show yesterday, but this is going to be a little more in depth. This is going to be fun. So this was posted April 18th. I believe that's 3 days ago. And I'm going to play this clip real quick. It's going to explain these connections to the Midnight Ride and Paul Revere, and I'll come back and we'll talk about it. But actually, I'll pull this down and we'll play this here. Okay, so the Department of State put this out April 18th. They say, with America's 250th anniversary just around the corner, we're looking back at the heroes who started it all. Tonight, we honor Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, the spark in the dark that ignited the American Revolution. If we go over here, when you type in Midnight Riders, post 4855, your ability to spread information across the digital battlefield and bypass their control is what they fear, narrative failure, and why they are doing everything in their power to disrupt false labeling, daily attacks, censorship, termination, government hearings, foundation to term censor, etc. Keep charging, Midnight Riders. Information warfare. Hunters become the hunted. We have keep charging, Midnight Riders. Night Watch. Midnight Riders, ride. Information warfare. Post 4734. Do not glorify us. We are all patriots. Honor those who serve for God, humanity, and country. Where we go one, we go all. Focus on content, information. Research for yourself. Gatekeeper, noun. A person that controls access as to information, often acting as an arbiter of quality or legitimacy. An open internet allows innovators to bypass traditional gatekeepers and promote their work on its own merit. A guardian, monitor. Deploy camouflage. Drop all references, Q, QAnon, etc., to avoid ban, termination, censorship, and so good at that. Algos, sniffers, bypass. Keep charging, Midnight Riders. Revere's Midnight Ride. Delivery of free information, bypass controlled media narrative. And what caught my eye also was right here when it says, tonight we honor Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, the spark in the dark that ignited the American Revolution. Q Post 2528. Power belongs to the people. You are what matters. All you needed was a spark to unite together. They are scared. Think false news attacks, second only to POTUS himself. Together we win. Trust yourself. Think for yourself. You are not alone. Open your heart and your mind. Where we go one, we go all. Amen. All right. So that little quick walkthrough, I hope you guys kind of followed that comm. Now, the interesting thing about this, and Brad, I'm not sure when you want to go to your amazing edit, by the way, we'll probably read this first, I'm assuming.
Yeah, let's do this first. Yeah.
Okay. So the Department of State, they post this, right? And we just went through all those comms. But underneath it, they did this post, and I seen it, and I didn't even think anything of it. I was all freaking out. Oh, Paul Revere, they're talking to us. Yeah. But there's actually a really cool thing that they posted here. And so it says, learn about Paul Revere's famous midnight ride on April 18th, 1775. The promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness has bonded us together as a nation and made us who we are today. So we're going to go check it out. Takes us to this. Then we're going to go through it. It's a fun, I don't even know what you'd call it, like almost like an online book.
Yeah, I love that they were doing these. This is one of the things that they started doing once they got into office. Start posting stories like this, and there's a wealth of them. We were talking about maybe going through some as time goes on, huh?
Yeah, because I think it's part of the 250 project here, and everybody's all getting excited and amped up. But yeah, the fun thing is, this is also how they're talking to us, guys. So if you haven't caught on yet, it's how they're talking to you. So it says the American Revolution gave birth to a nation and helped define its people. The spirit of 1776, revolution that shaped America. 250 years after the Declaration of Independence, Americans still cherish their rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The spirit of 1776 is woven into the fabric of the nation. And this picture is John Turnbull's Declaration of Independence depicts a moment on June 28, 1776, when the first draft of the Declaration of Independence was presented to the Second Continental Congress, architect of the Capitol. And this happened. This happened. This is our heritage. This is where we came from. These people are like, let's figure this out. We're being oppressed. We're being controlled. We left Britain and England, and they're coming over here. We got to do something, boys. So that's what was happening.
Yeah. And they were inspired. Yeah, we're going to play a quick recap in a few minutes about what happened in Massachusetts by Boston, which is what inspired all this.
Yes. Oh, it's going to be exciting. You guys are going to stay. You got to stay for that. You got to say. Okay. So Thomas Jefferson's words in the Declaration of Independence sent an enduring message to all the world's peoples. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with these certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And there's our beautiful Declaration of Independence.
Oh.
For Americans, these are more than just words. They described American life across the wide ocean. The Europeans who came to British North America sought to escape overcrowding, class restrictions, and religious persecution. Yeah. And they came for opportunity. Even as the Native Americans lived there, the land was so vast and full of natural resources that a rugged, self-reliant colonist could make his own destiny. That's like us, Brad.
Yeah.
We're like, let's go on out. Let's make a house in the middle of the woods. So cool.
Love it.
Religious descendants founded many of the 13 new British colonies, the Pilgrims and the Puritans in Massachusetts, Quakers in Pennsylvania, and Catholics in Maryland. They risked starvation, survived disease, and learned to live together. As early as 1633, Lord Baltimore counseled Catholic colonists headed for Maryland to suffer no scandal nor offense to be given to any of the Protestants at land as well as at sea. So there was like let's be friends. Okay.
Yeah.
we just want life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
The quest for religious freedom and new opportunities expanded America's borders. I guess this was before that, but it's still in the heart. Expanded America's borders all the way to the shores of the Pacific Ocean. Brigham Young led members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, widely known as the Mormon Church, into Utah to escape religious persecution. Then the discovery of gold in California sent an estimated 300,000 people westward
Wow.
looking for quick riches. And Brad, you just told me something interesting about that. Wasn't that you?
Yeah, I believe it was Trump's grandfather. Either his father or his grandfather. I believe it was his grandfather who he went to Alaska, but I believe probably through California at the time, looking for gold. I think he might have opened a brothel. I don't know. I should check that. I should double check that. I don't have it in front of me.
It blew my mind when Brad was saying that. I was like, what? The Trumps were actually in Alaska? It's so wild. So yeah, sorry to put you on the spot, babe, but I just thought that was so.
I'm going to double check it right now. It's been a long time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. His paternal grandfather, Friedrich Trump, did go to Alaska through his main business activities during the gold rush era. Although they were his main activities during the gold rush era were in the nearby Yukon Territory in Canada. But in early 1898, during the Klondike Gold Rush, he traveled north from Seattle. He boarded a ship bound for Alaska, and before crossing into Canada. See, so I was wondering, because we're talking about like the Sonoro Era Club and stuff.
Yes.
If he wound up ever going through California in his journey, because I know back then in the 1800s, there probably weren't a ton of different ways, right, to go west.
Right. There wasn't. There wouldn't have been. He would have went down that way. Do you have a picture of him?
Not handy, but we could look one
Dang
up.
it. Okay. This just sounds so freaking cool.
And I think he immigrated from, from Germany.
Okay, Friedrich Trump.
Okay, I got a picture. I'm going to download it.
Okay. Because I want to see what this man looked like. Wait, Friedrich.
A little bit.
Wait, is this him? That's him. Yes. It totally. Think of
Don Jr.
Eric. Yeah, Don.
Eric and Don. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I can see it. Oh my gosh. I wonder if there's ones when he's older. If we found ones when he was older, like Daddy Trump now. Like Daddy Trump. Okay. Sorry. That was fun though. We gotta explore that more. Okay, so continuing on. December 16th, 1773, colonists who had no representatives in the British Parliament, disguised as Native Americans, I love that they did this, by the way, board British ships in the Boston Harbor and throw 340 chests of tea overboard. It was their protest of a tax imposed without representation. Britain responds by putting Boston under military rule. They're like, oh yeah, well, we're going to quarter in your houses. We're going to just come and stay in your free land now, just because we threw the tea overboard. Give me liberty or give me death. This is such a strong statement. I always remember growing up hearing it thinking, this is intense. But it's just, when you listen to his whole speech, Patrick Henry's full speech, you understand where he's coming from. It was pretty much like, they're going to come get us anyway. Like, pretty much, if we live under a tyrannical control, it's worse than death. Like, that's kind of where he was coming from, his angle. As the 13 colonies grew an ocean away from their mother country, their residents became used to their freedom and guarded against any government infringement. So they love being free. When Britain decided to increase its control and its taxes, the colonists felt excluded from the decisions that affected their lives. The stage was set for revolution. Virginia legislators were already defying the colonial governor when they met in March 1775 at St. John's Church in Richmond. Though tensions with Britain were high, Patrick Henry's words stunned the delegates into silence. Give me liberty or give me death, became the rallying cry as Virginia raised a militia to defend its freedom. The words echoed through time as each generation of Americans learned about the speech and gains in its own appreciation of American freedoms. That's the Statue of Liberty there. Now, this was a little fun one, Brad, wasn't it? In the Civil War, and guys, if you have your Q post open, just type in Civil War, you will find this exact picture. In the Civil War, former slave sergeant William Harvey Carney determined to bring Patrick Henry's liberty to enslaved people in the South, held the Star and Stripes high over Charleston Harbor when the all-black 54th Massachusetts Regiment attacked Fort Wagner. Rock and roll, dude. April 18, 1775, Boston silversmith Paul Revere learns that British troops are marching to seize the colonists' munitions at Concord. He and 2 other men make a famous midnight ride to wake and warn the colonists. Boom. Shot heard around the world.
Lexington.
Hey, you can pull that up real quick. Let's go up before we go too far. Okay, so here we go, right? I was reading it. And I'm like, Brad, I've seen this picture before. And he's like, I know. Oh, Q, pull it up. You have it, or I'll pull it up.
Yeah. Yo.
I guess I can't pull it up. Okay.
Okay, so it's just of note that this the Q posts also tell the story of William Carney, the first black soldier to earn the Medal of Honor. And he's the same picture. Who knows? Maybe it's the only picture of him. I'm not sure how that works, but it's just a little interesting that a lot of the same messaging. Again, we don't even need proofs anymore. They're basically, Trump might as well tattoo Q plus on his forehead at this point. So we know that that's just this is the back end edict of what the Trump administration is also doing on top of being an awesome president. They're also trying to do that. But it's just cool to when you see these little nods. We also, there's another one coming up that I think is pretty awesome that Abbey was showing me a little bit about. And then we're kind of, I was going through and seeing what I could find on it. And I think it's very in line with what's going on right now. So teaser for about, I don't know.
We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it, Brad. We're going to get to it, Brad.
But yeah, but back to this, because this is pretty cool.
All right. So same picture. And yes, it does tell him, it says the same thing. He was the recipient of a Medal of Honor. All right. So let's see. I think I read this. The Midnight Ride. Okay. Shot heard around the world. And that's what we just were celebrating 3 days ago was the, what's the word I'm thinking of? When you re-celebrate something annual, I can't think of the word, but of this
anniversary.
Yeah. Anniversary. Thank you, babe. Yep. Thank you. By April 1775, Massachusetts was in open defiance of British authority. Across the state, farmers and traders armed themselves into a militia known as the Minutemen, ready to fight on a minute's notice, and elected their own legislature to replace the one shut down by the royal governor. When British soldiers marched to seize the colonists' munition stockpiles, they found themselves facing off against the Minutemen at 5 a.m. on April 19th on Lexington Green near Boston. Yeah. No one remembers who fired the first shot. The shot heard around the world, but the war was on. The British approached the colonist stockpiles, but the Minutemen blocked their path at the Concord Bridge. By June, the colonists would ultimately surround the city and drive the British forces out after the Battle of Bunker Hill. Let's go.
Love it.
Do you want me to continue reading the rest of it?
At least through this, unless it goes too much further, I guess.
No, I would love to. Yeah, the National Guard, the state-based reserve force for America's military that was founded in 1903, features the Minutemen on its emblem. The Guard's citizen soldier stands at the center of America's defense forces. Reservists make up a third of the country's 2 million service members. Come on, boys.
Shout out to the reservists.
Rock and roll. January 10th, 1776, British immigrant Thomas Paine publishes what becomes the Manifesto of the Revolution. In Common Sense, Paine asserts that liberty is the natural human condition and government exists to serve the people, rather than the other way around. Boom. Let's go.
Yes. Amen to that.
For going on to 250 years, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness has been the promise of the revolution that began at Lexington and Concord and found its voice in the Declaration of Independence. The events of 1775 through 1776 bind Americans into a nation that stands out as an embodiment of freedom for all. Americans are still explorers and pioneers. You see the spirit in the new immigrant who opens her own restaurant, or the tech companies that partner with America's space agency in the quest to reach Mars. According to the Treasury Department, the United States averages 430,000, sorry, help me, babe.
430,000?
Yeah, I said it right. Okay. New businesses and applications per month. Okay, so people are starting to start businesses to actually pursue their dreams.
Pulling up so many regulations, babe. You know what I've been noticing with going through a lot of this stuff is that a lot of these regulations to take down big business, all they did was destroy all the mom and pops, and then Walmart just like shifts a freaking couple dollars. So it's like, is that the reason those existed? Because a lot of these big corporations like Walmart are funded by these big lobbies. They have these big lobbies, and then those are the ones who fund the politicians. So I think a lot of it was to do away with these smaller things. Even like you're talking about like loans and stuff. I was reading a lot about how a lot of these different regulations and stuff was to scare off small lenders from giving mortgages to different things. Now only the big banks can exist under these tight scrutinies that they put. And I think a lot of that was by design. A lot of it's getting freed up by the Trump administration. So it's a good time to be a small business owner.
Yeah. I forget the guy's name, but he said regulations are laws that were put into place that were not voted by the people. That's the thing about regulations. Is we follow them like laws. Yet we, the people, had no say in them. They just, there's a new regulation under the new whatever, and they just sign it and it's done.
Messed up.
So I love that Trump is actively always reversing a lot of those things.
Yeah.
Today, liberty binds Americans who have arrived from all parts of the world to help build this country. Freedom of expression and belief, and the rights of privacy, property ownership, and protection from arbitrary prosecution all maintain overwhelmingly support among Americans, says a recent poll by the Cato Institute. The spirit of the Minutemen to stand up and protect one's community lives on as well. Across the nation's 65% of loyal firefighters and volunteers. In fact, half of all Americans do volunteer work. Oh, that's so cool. The Census Bureau reports helping their communities even as they pursue their own happiness. So saying we can pursue happiness and help others. This year, Americans look back to the period just before their country was born on July 4th, 1776. The road to America's 250th anniversary offers guideposts that say a lot about just who Americans are.
Very cool post. This is being put out by them, just makes it that much cooler. They want to bring back patriotism.
So just know that everything we just read there that had quite a bit of QComs, because it had Lexington and Concord mentioned in there as well. And it's just what a cool thing to see them communicate and talk to us. And Brad, to close it off, should I play that video, that song, and then
you should do the Paul Revere song.
Okay, and then I'll switch it over to you because I want to get to your freaking video, which is totally awesome.
We'll go back to back. Let's do
back to back. Let's do back to back. All right. And because of those posts, I was inspired, and I took this Q post and I put it in this song, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And we will see you on the other side of what I'm sharing here. All right.
The entire world is watching. Patriots from around the world are praying for each other. America, we are all bound by a feeling deep inside our soul to question the narrative, the narrative. Remember the battles that we have endured. Give me liberty, give me death. For too long we've been silent, and we dropped our guard to defend freedom and liberty.
We cannot delay. The enemy is at our gates.
We became divided. We elected traitors. We allowed evil to prey on us. Gave us false hope and promises. It's beyond politics. We must restore old glory. This is about saving our land, and as a people we must stand. This is about life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. About protecting our children, doesn't matter what color or race I am. Preserving our republic, our safety and restoring our strength. For our fathers, mothers, daughters, sons and sisters, and our brothers. We must rise again. We must unite again. We must fight again.
For God and country. God bless America. Where we go one, we go all. Q.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
And that is Q Post 3907. I hope you guys enjoyed that. You know, sometimes it's fun to hear things in a different way. Reading, music, video, you know, the whole spiel.
I love that I'm married to someone who could just like make that come out of the air. It's one thing to just write a song, but to be able to write it, perform it, and also produce it. You do such great work with just like recording and mixing and everything. So it's really cool.
Oh,
we have a lot of
thank
fun.
you.
We've done some music even together since we were married.
Hey, we're going to
pretty
put
cool.
out a second album, Brad.
Yes. In fact, I have to call the place about that. They keep calling me. I don't know what the problem is, but it's probably just something with the artwork.
There's a second album coming down the pike, so everybody be aware. Yes, we make music, but this one should be really good, and I love it. I love it.
It's gonna be cool. You guys are gonna really like it, and we'll get ready for like the debut and stuff, right? When it's ready to go.
Yes.
And so yeah, keep that in mind. New Blue Eyes album on the way, and yeah, to put a bow on a lot. Again, we passed the anniversary this week of Paul Revere's famous Midnight Ride and Lexington and Concord, followed by the Siege of Boston and the genius of George Washington and all of that. So to celebrate that, I thought I had encapsulated here for you guys. Enjoy. In honor of our nation's 250th anniversary, I'd like to take you back now to the initial uprising in Massachusetts that started the American Revolution. Now, it's of note that the incident that sets everything off in the first place was an attempt by Britain's Lieutenant Governor Gage to disarm the local militia. Now, there had been a growing anti-British sentiment in the colonies for about 10 years at this point, stemming from the 1764 taxation of sugar on a lesser scale, but then in 65 with the Stamp Act on a more widespread scale, provoking outcries from the 13 colonies on having no representation in Parliament. April 18th, 1775, it hits ahead. Gage sends a Boston garrison to Concord to confiscate all their guns. The Patriots catch wind of this, such as William Dawes and Paul Revere, and race ahead to alert the militias. The British are first met with resistance going through Lexington, and then sent into full retreat mode by the militias in Concord. On the run now, they're attacked by local militias the entire way back to the city of Boston. When there, all the militias unite and surround the city. It's the spring of 75. Now the problem is, without a navy, they can't stop Britain from sending supplies to Boston. So in May of 75, 500 reinforcements arrive in the city, along with 3 more generals, Major General William Howe and Brigadiers John Burgoyne and Henry Clinton. The siege continues all summer until October, when General Washington and his troops arrive. And in March 76, after a brilliant move of getting artillery to Dorchester Heights and shelling Boston, the Brits surrender and vacate the city. This is what inspired the colonists to claim this land. It made the thought of independence a real possibility. So the Revolutionary War was literally started over unfair taxes, no representation, and disarmament. The Democratic Party has become the exact thing that provoked the American Revolution.
Hey, it was good.
It's so true, though. The literal things that caused us to gain our independence are the exact things that they push right now, right? They're fighting the SAVE Act. So that's, they don't want to secure our elections, which means our representation is hurt. Unfair taxes right now. Oh my gosh, we're up to our eyeballs in unfair taxes right now. And gun confiscation. They always trying to think of different programs to make certain guns illegal and just chip away at that stone. So the Democrats are the British crown, and obviously we fight in different ways now than we did back then. But this is how we do it. We're pushing back. Trump is pushing back against this globalist, progressive, liberal blight. And we're all doing it too. And the culture is starting to change. You're seeing it reverberate just in society, which is a beautiful thing.
This is how we change it. This is something that kind of goes into like that spiritual side, like the patriotism, the pride, the hope of the future, these things that I don't know. Isn't there something that happened in this world that you notice where it's like, as soon as you grow up, you have to be boring and life sucks and the daily grind, and you just got to go and do your 9-to-5 job, and it's the way it is. And it's like Trump's like, no, there's the golden age. A golden age is coming. You can actually pursue your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Oh, I think I may have lost Brad. Hold on. Oh, maybe he's coming back. All right. So with that, since Brad is gone for a moment, I'm going to pull this up.
Yeah. Sorry, I turned the air conditioner off. Apparently my air conditioner remote also is on the same frequency as our TV.
Oh,
no. Like, oh my God, let me go turn it. It turned on the TV again. This happened the other night too. So
well, if you had anything else you wanted to say to that, I'm sorry. I thought you pop out.
I'm excited to go on to the cash part. I thought that's where you're going. Yeah.
Oh, that's where I'm going. I did make a super cut, but I think I used a copyright song. So I'm like, screw it. We're going to go to the original here that was posted. Benny Johnson put this out. Well, Fox, of course, but, and just note what he says, when we get about 3/4 to close to the end, he says a phrase that people might remember. And so we're going to play, see what he has to say. Benny Johnson just says, FBI Director Kash Patel says, arrests are coming over 2020 election fraud. That is a huge statement to say. Yeah. But I will tell you, I'm also seeing that the apples are ripe on the tree. The harvest is ready, babe. I feel it.
Let me ask you about the mix. Every time I see President Trump, he says this repeatedly, that the election was rigged in 2020. I mean, he says it all the time. We all know that. And it's almost getting lost because he says it so much. You've been at the FBI now 14 months. Have you done anything about that? And do you have anything to tell us about that?
Absolutely, Maria. Look, I've been with the president nearly since day one on this. As I told you earlier, I was the one that led the effort with folks like Trey Gowdy, Johnny Ratcliffe, and Devin Nunes to expose the corruption that tried to thwart President Trump's first presidential election run. And we saw the FISA abuses there. And I lived through it, and the media came at me then too. That just shows you that when you're over the target, you keep pummeling the target because the media is going to try and pummel you. We are not going to take this and have not taken this laying down. We did already indict former Director Comey, and that's going through the judicial process. But we also at this FBI, even though we uncovered what we uncovered back in the House Intel days, I had to come in here and find rooms that they hid from the world. I had to come in here and find access on our computer systems in restricted and prohibited case files that they purposely put in places for no one to see and find. We have found all this information. We are working with our Department of Justice partners, and I am never going to let this go because they not only have personally attacked the presidency of the United States and President Trump, but they tried to thwart our elections and rig the entire system. And that is not something that is going to stop. That is not something I'm going to allow on my watch. But you just have to remember, they built this disease temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors, the Department of Justice, and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests, and it's coming. And I promise you, it's coming soon.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff to unpack there at the end.
And he's been getting a lot of flack. So I mean, that's really stupid if they're not coming soon to say that at this point. So I have to believe him. I mean, he's doing a lot of great work, by the way, at the FBI. They are doing a lot. And, they haven't arrested Obama yet. Everyone only wants the single top. You can name arrests all day that they've done, but no one cares. They only care about a list of about 5 to 10 people. So.
Right. But we understand that's what people are looking for. I do believe that Obama will become, I'm assuming, arrested, or he's going to run to Kenya, right?
He should.
Just because he is involved in it, and Tulsi did find, yes, that he is guilty of treason. It has been referred to Kash. So Kash, I do trust Kash. I trust Kash Patel 100%. He has freaking Punisher socks. Let's go. So the key thing I want you to focus on here is this phrase.
On my watch. But you just have to remember, they built this disease temple over 20 and...
They built this disease temple. Now I'm going to take you over to something. It's all going to connect here in just a minute. Now, I'm going to play you a clip from a movie called Law Abiding Citizen. And this part, it says it's going to be biblical. That's kind of what this scene is titled. We're going to start from here, and we're going to hear what he has to say.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's got to be biblical.
Now, what if I told you that that's what this link is right here? This link right here takes you to that. I'm going to tear down this corrupt, diseased temple on your head. And what does it say? It says... He fights for you. And there's Trump right there. And so that was just another little nod of Kash just saying, hey, bro, you guys got to trust the plan, first of all. And I know there's people out there that made fun of that phrase, trust the plan. But I'm telling you now, this is the time. This is the time to trust the plan. Especially, remember, like the attacks are going to intensify. These people aren't going to take it laying down. So understand that that'll happen. But celebrate the wins, right? Celebrate the wins. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and he also hits 2 more in that. He says them really quick, but he also says that we're over to Target, which was a pretty prominent fallback, right? That was a call sign from the Q drops. And they very much highlighted that. So he says you're over to Target. And he said, we're not going to take it, which is the final Q drop. Well, except for, let's just go.
We're not going to take it. Hold on. Yeah, I'm
there
going
was
back.
A couple 2022 ones, which I'm not sure how I feel about those. But they're harmless. So there's nothing bad with it. So here we go. This the last Q post from the first batch takes you to the song "We're Not Gonna Take It."
Yeah.
So he hits 3 basically they're talking very, very Q-esque lately.
Yes.
And you could feel them. I mean, dude, Donald Trump's dropping direct friggin' comms. Freaking Kash is out there being pretty bold in his speech. He's just hitting different Q sayings. So I think we're here right now. I think this is the storm. We're knee deep in the storm as we speak.
I agree, Brad. And that will take us to, if you don't mind, we're going to go to the lock-in post because I feel like they're definitely telling us to lock in. I'm bypassing that video I was going to do. Maybe we can end with that. But yes, let me pull these up. And I know that you were thinking you may have wanted to take it from here. I don't know. I'm opening them.
Yeah, we have yeah, we can go right through that. Absolutely. I have these right here. So this is something. Oh yeah.
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, too.
Let's go.
And I need to put night mode on my Twitter, on my X. So this is something that you were showing me last night, which kind of got me a little interested here.
A little locked in.
So when we're looking for patterns, right? So whenever these people are lining up with different things, it sometimes probably means something. So here's the Department of War. Good morning. We're going to win. Locked in. You got the White House. Locked in mode. Activated. It's Monday. No excuses. Just wins. These are all three of these are from yesterday, right? So we're like, okay, why are they doing all the same things all at once? And you also have the Department of War. Lock in, Patriots. Okay.
And
so
nation of winners.
We are a nation of winners. Yes. Okay. Yes. So this is a good one too. We're a nation of winners. Lock in. Locked in mode. Just wins. Good morning. Locked in. We're going to win. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So locked in, right? Locked on target, locked in. I was like, are there any Q posts that use this kind of terminology? And yeah,
hot dog.
It starts off, locked and loaded. And this is about the Supreme Court. Okay. So not necessarily, I don't think, connection. Here we go. Lock on target, fire at will. Here's some of the earlier ones. Here's another one. Memes locked on target, fire when ready. High priority targets today, tomorrow, where we're going, we go all. But this is where it starts getting interesting because that now those are early ones. Now as you start going, whenever they use the term locked, there seems to be a pattern. Let me get this ready. Okay, so now let's go here. This is post 2462. So it goes locked on targets. And they're all seem to be talking about exactly what we covered last week, where it seems to be things going on with Spygate, with the spy hoax, Spygate, Russiagate, whatever you want to call it. That whole big operation. Tulsi's coming out with more stuff. She came out with stuff just so when the administration started. There seems to be a lot more pressure. There, he was just mentioning Comey, how that's still ongoing. We know Brennan gave up the goat and said that he's been indicted. Again, he's been lawyering up at very least. And so as we go here, locked on target, you start seeing things like, here we go. How can arrests occur prior to removing the corruption from the DOJ and the FBI? How can arrests occur prior to safely securing a majority in the Supreme Court? What is the role of the Senate? Okay, who is Huber? Huber was looking at this. Horowitz also looking at this. What shadow players are the deadliest? What is the advantage of having a temp? Right, that was when they put in. I forget what was his name.
A temporary person.
They put a temporary Whitaker. Here we go. I was like, I just saw it. Whitaker was kind of like, the Scaramucci model, if you will. Okay, so they start talking about, so this is the first one, and they're like, all right, locked. And as we start going again, here we go, locked, and who is loaded? Okay, so think Senate, think Supreme Court, and here we go. It must be done right. Oh yeah.
Look at
Here we
all
go.
that.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Locked and loaded. Again, and now this is all the locked ones start talking about, the Clinton Hussein illegal Pfizer. Okay, the illegal Russia, which came from that, the illegal impeachment, again, election interference. Okay, fired or forced out FBI, DOJ, state, Senate, Congress, CIA, DOD, DOJ, again, CIA.
Yeah, illegal
or
impeachment.
hired, installed. All right, there we go, locked and loaded. So this is all talking about this. The illegal impeachment is mentioned.
But like I say, because the IC Inspector General, Inspector General that we just covered, guys. That's what I'm saying. Like, Brad, I think you're on point with this stuff because she just highlighted him saying he was lying. He lied under oath. And then his right after the whistleblower complaint thing, they changed it on the form that you could do secondhand knowledge, and that's okay now. Like, these people are lying bastards. And isn't it so interesting that Locked takes you to exactly what is happening right now?
Right.
I'm just like,
it's interesting because then you keep going. Locked on target, painted, planned, and immediate. And when you click on that link, it takes you to Tom Fitton talking about it was never Russia. Target and real Donald Trump served to protect Hillary Clinton. And now Obama, Biden, McCain, Brennan, Comey, Schiff, and their enablers, co-conspirators in the Obama administration from persecution. Okay, so again, another locked on target talking about the whole spying Russia, everything. Boom. You go here, locked on target. Sorry, Adam, but the game is over. Okay, and this is talking about, again, Adam Schiff. This is another one, all mixed up and all this stuff. Schiff, the transcripts are ready to release, right? They got the big transcripts from the freaking impeachment hoax. Okay,
real quick, again, Adam Schiff, the judge that was stonewalling the whole thing and the California thing that was going on. The DOJ just removed that judge, guys, last week. Here we are, Q-Post talking about it again. I don't know, Brad. You know what I feel about this. Sometimes I'm like, how? I don't know. But something's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, they are lining them up. And then finally, we have this one. And this is this is a great one. Let's see. He goes, install a special. All right. How do you add layers of protection? Install a special counsel to lock, freeze everything Russia, instruct and coordinate with the NSC and telecommunities, shift arm's length to initiate whistleblower allegations. Again, talking about the fake impeachment. Okay, coordination with China, concerns, push fear, right, with COVID. Vote by mail, coincidence, January 15th. Impeachment articles delivered to the Senate. They held it, right, to the exact day that he signed China deal phase 1. And then it's also the first COVID case landed in Seattle. All three of these all happened on January 15th. It says, when all assets deployed, win by any means necessary. Everything is at stake. And what did all three of those posts say? They said, win, win, win. And then also, too, they're sharing this. And this is about the January 5th meeting with the Intel community leadership with Obama and Comey and all of them. Again, talking about all these different things.
And at the bottom, it says, shadow.
Welcome to the shadow presidency of Barack Hussein Obama. Right. So these are all the, when you go to the locked in, right, except for the first couple in the beginning, but then all these other ones are all about the Spygate and the fake impeachment hoax. And they're talking about and saying we are going to win. And here we go. Locked in. Good morning. Locked in. We're going to win. Locked in mode activated. Just wins. Lock in Patriot. We're a nation of winners. A nation of freaking winners. So it seems like I think they have the pins lined up right now, and we should start seeing something either with fake impeachment hoax number one, or even number two, or with the Spygate, which is, again, these are all conducted by that same crew there. So it's funny that this all lines up with Q posts pertaining to that right at the same time where they're starting to come out with shifts in hot water. Swalwell was just ousted. Now they're Tulsi Gabbard coming out with even more stuff on top of the original stuff with Spygate stuff now about the impeachment hoax. It's looking pretty cool.
Looking pretty spicy. I love it. Yeah. Love the breakdown. I'm super excited, and I do like how they're able to communicate to us. And some people might know, some people might not know, and that's all right. It's just a way that it's comms. It's military talk. It's just a way for them to let you know a little something happening. Yeah. And really, really awesome. All right, Brad, I can turn it over to you. I got a bunch of extra stuff here, as you can see, but I don't know if you want to get to
maybe a little
interesting.
Maybe interesting. Let's go right here. Interesting inventions. Boom. This is I think going to be one of my favorite segments, and this is something we're going to do at least once a month, where we're going to just look up a cool invention. Who invented the freaking computer desk? Well, maybe not the computer desk. Who invented the monitor? Who invented this? Who invented that? Today's, obviously, the electric guitar, something that is near and dear to my heart. And this was invented by one George Beauchamp in 1931. Okay, he was a musician who played violin and lap steel Hawaiian style guitar. In the 1920s, he kept running into the same problem when playing live. The acoustic guitar, even resonator guitars, which were also invented by Beauchamp, weren't loud enough to be heard over the drums or brass, especially in larger venues. We just got this. We played out.
Yes.
That, 2 weekends ago. We played.
It was out at the pub. Yeah, we played live. That was fun, wasn't it? That was super fun.
Your sister's mic had to be amped because the acoustic, it really can't go over to different things.
Yeah, and if she had to be close, and even then it could have been louder. And yeah. So I understand the problem.
Yeah,
George saw a problem.
Yeah, he indeed saw a problem. So he was working with his engineer, Paul Barth. They created the first electromagnetic pickup when he used 2 horseshoe-shaped magnets placed on either side of strings and a coil of fine copper wire wound around a central bar with 6 individual pole pieces, so one under each string. If you guys know if you know a modern pickup, they still kind of uses the same focus and goes, then that focused the magnetic field. So when the steel strings vibrated, the magnetic field, they disturbed it in inducing a small electrical current in the coil that could then be sent to an amplifier. So once the pickup was fine-tuned, Beauchamp worked with Harry Wilson to invent what he'd call the pancake guitar, but what was famously come to known as the frying pan. So any of you guitarists out there, probably once time in your life heard of the frying pan. This is the first electric guitar ever. Yeah. The technical name for it is the Electro A22. To sell it, he partnered with Adolf Rickenbacker. So you've probably all heard the name Rickenbacker. It's still a company to this day, who was a skilled tool maker, and he owned a metal shop in Los Angeles. And together they created the commercialized Rickenbacker Electro A22. So there you go.
Oh.
That's an interesting invention of the day.
That is so cool. But think how they had to I mean, he had to get a guy right that was good with metal. I get it, because he needed that to amplify the sound. But he's dealing with frequencies now and electricity. Like, you don't just all of a sudden go, I need this to be amplified. Like, I need my guitar to be amplified. Like, he had to have some understanding, right? Of how it works. It just blows my mind. You know, bravo. That's so cool. What a cool invention.
It's so awesome. I mean, as a avid guitarist, I feel very happy that people like this exist. So that was today's interesting invention of.
Let's go, Tesla.
I had to play it on the outro too, because I just love the way that came out.
It's so rock and roll.
It is very rock and roll. You're very rock and roll. I found them a rock and roll wife, guys.
Rock and roll. All right. So you want me to cover that incident that happened yesterday?
Yeah,
We
this
can
is
cover it
this is
briefly.
interesting.
So there was a
could have
ship.
big implications, I say.
There was a ship. Well, I was going to play the Jesse Waters clip, but I actually found the other clips of it. It was boarded by the U.S. Marines. This was yesterday. And it was apparently up to no good. The Tashika was traveling from China. The Washington Post says it was loaded with dual-use chemicals used to manufacture ballistic missiles. So that means that China got caught moving some stuff. Okay, so let's go.
Well, you know, China ain't happy right now because
I know,
their
what's going
their
on
oil
there?
consumption is probably being severely tested with everything that's going on in Iran.
You're right. You are so right. So, Department of War, again, like Department of War. Overnight, U.S. forces conducted a right of visit. So, basically, I'll play it so you guys can see it here. It says they were moving. Hold on, before I show the rest of it. It says, okay. As we have made clear, we will pursue global maritime enforcement efforts to disrupt illicit networks and indirect sanctioned vessels providing material to support Iran. So I think they're saying like they were kind of, helping with this whole spiel.
Bullshit.
Can you imagine some choppers coming up on you? Like the 18.
Yeah, I'm always impressed by the size of these things when you see them. You see them up close, you know, especially that red tanker. There's a thing in New York called the Intrepid Museum that you can go visit, and it's massive. It's wild. They're like little floating towns. Right?
They are. And here's some other footage of it. This guy's going on in. Popping on in. No big deal. Night vision. So that happened. So I thought that was a little interesting. They don't really have much more about it, but, you know, people are going to make decisions of what they're going to support, and Trump has made it very clear. Very clear. I don't know. He's probably said it a couple hundred times.
Right.
Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Boom. Everybody knows it. If you're going to go against that, if you're going to be supplying stuff that helps them in any way, shape, and form, by the way, I'll just pull. I thought I had it here. Hold on. We're going to pull this up because it goes right along with it. Trump. Basically, Iran is guilty of being evil sons of bitches and killing people and murdering people. And like what Trump said, shooting women in between. You're sniping these women just from the tall towers, just these men and the women are saying, you know, we don't like this government. We want to be free. We want to be able to not have to follow Sharia law. You know, that's Iran. So Donald Trump says this. He goes, okay, this was today. To to the Iranian leaders who will soon be in negotiations with my representatives, I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. I am sure they will respect the fact that you did so. Please do them no harm. Would be a great start to our negotiations. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So basically, these women are being held, and I'm assuming it's because they were protesting the government. The Islamic Republic is preparing to hang 8 women. Oh, that's okay. So maybe there's caught wind. This is going to happen. Not a word from the international community or so-called human rights organizations. So Trump's highlighting this and saying, better not do that. Better not do that. So that is,
well, that's really,
what we're fighting.
That's what provoked, that's what pushed everything over the edge. I know I keep saying about the nuclear weapon, and obviously I agree. They had enough 60% enriched uranium to, if you could get it from 60 to 90, which if you got 60, you're right there. So they're right on the verge. They had enough of it to make 10 or 11 nukes. So that's
I heard that.
They were bragging about it too, up to 11 nukes they were bragging about. So yeah, that is the main reason. But also what put it over the edge and sparked it is he told them, stop killing these protesters. I think they killed tens of thousands of protesters. Just killed them, just sniping them, mowing them down, like an insane humanitarian issue right now. And then Trump said, you know what? I told you not to do it. Now this is happening. And now he's decapitating their entire regime over and over and over again. And they'd be smart to get in line to free up the country, remove this craziness that is handicapped around since 1979, and back to being normal. And you can make nice deals. Oh, look at North Korea. North Korea said, okay, they came to the table. And now they have a normal relationship with at least the Trump administration. I don't know. They were starting to go back a little during Biden. But I'm sure if North Korea wanted to start trading with the world and being a part of the world stage, Trump would give them a chance. Anything with Iran. Same thing they're talking about Cuba now. They're bringing these places that have been so closed off and crazy for all these years, or Venezuela, just making them normal again. And there's a big part. I know people want only the domestic to happen, and I like to focus on the domestic a lot too, but these are just 2 parts going on right now, because a lot of the people who are pulling the strings in America, they're not Americans. They have their American puppets, but they are big globalist nationalists. Globalist nationalists. They're big globalists they're nationalists of the world, and they're globalist situation who are really pulling these strings, and they have their different things all around the world, strongholds that they use for different various reasons. This is one of them. So
yeah, I was so glad to see it happening. And that's pretty much all that I had on that. I've got a bunch of other things, but I didn't know if you wanted to. I don't know if you can see my cursor here.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we could go into it. I do need. You're right. I guess would be fun to make a bumper for it. But I'm going to be singling out a primary or 2 every week to go into it. We call this the Great Rhino Hunt of 2026. This particular one for Nebraska is what we're going to focus on today. Their primaries are May 12th, so just about 3 weeks away. So if you're in Nebraska, or if you have friends in Nebraska, or if you just want to share it out to your Patriot friends to let them know.
Nebraska.
Nebraska's kind of an interesting one. We did have, there are 2 rhinos who kind of saw themselves out, Ben Sass and Don Bacon. So they're gone already. One thing I did learn about Nebraska is, according to the people of Nebraska, or at least like the really hardline MAGA, everyone's a rhino in Nebraska. So it's like, well, you got to have your threshold a little higher than that. I've been noticing this with a lot of states in general. That everyone thinks every single person's a rhino the second they say one word they don't like. So I'm trying to be a little bit more careful with that. But one thing that one thing I noticed with Nebraska is this is pretty unique. Basically, every single incumbent was endorsed. Now, Trump didn't endorse any secretaries of state, so we're going to go over that a little bit after this, because Secretary of State is very important in Nebraska. But so he didn't do any Secretary of State. But if you look at all this, Trump endorsed every single incumbent: the governor, Pillen, Attorney General Hilgers, who's running unopposed anyway, Pete Ricketts for the Senate, Mike Flood for the District 1, also running unopposed, Adrian Smith in District 3, and then Brinker Harding, who was Don Bacon's. He was in District 2, and this guy, Trump gave him a very nice endorsement. He usually doesn't endorse not the people like this. Not him, but just the fact that it's an empty seat. He won't make he'll kind of let those play out, I've noticed. But he also endorsed him. So this is, I think, the only state where it's a clean endorsement across the board for Nebraska. I guess the ones where I'd really focus on it, I'll say this quick first, because the most important thing is, for everything I can see, the Secretary of State this is the most important. Secretary of State is who appoints the Director of Elections. Like I said, that's the case for most states.
Oh,
but there are some differences. So this is what I want to highlight for each one we do. So this is an important race. For everything I can see, the current Secretary of State, Bob Evnen, I believe he said, that he very much pushed back against election skeptics and gave the 2020 election in Nebraska a clean bill of health. Now, Nebraska did go handily to Trump in 2020. It's a pretty red state, so who knows? Maybe they left Nebraska alone, and he's right. But it just still feels off. People obviously are not super happy about it. He's also said that he supports the Save America Act overall, but he's also calling it nationalizing elections and says he doesn't support that. So I don't love that. I personally don't get this critique, because it's not nationalizing elections. It's just bringing in a little oversight, which should exist. When said election is there to determine the government, they should be able to say, well, hey, I only want actual citizens to vote. So different nodes of oversight are how you make it harder and harder to cheat. So I don't love that he pushed back on that. Now, his challenger, Scott Peterson, has positioned himself as very MAGA all the way, supports the Save America Act, is a big supporter of President Trump. I think this is an important primary for Nebraskans to get out there. I would personally go for Scott Peterson to the Republican ticket. Otherwise, Bob Evnen, other than those things, by the way, hasn't seemed super bad. He was endorsed by, the Don Bacon crew and stuff. Some people look at that as a bad thing, but for the most part, I don't think he was terrible anyway. So I think either one, you're safe. But personally, for me, I would try and go for Scott Peterson on this one.
Yeah, dude, I'd go for Scotty. Scotty.
Yeah.
Really, Scott Peterson.
And again, this is an important one. So that would be my pick there. Governor, again, President Trump. Full endorsement to Governor Pillen for re-election, so it should be pretty cut and dry. Of his other contenders, there's only one who's really strongly aligned as MAGA, and that's John Walz. And he ran for District 3 in Nebraska in 2024. He does seem pretty cool, so he would be my second choice, but the president's endorsement, I'd say the incumbent Pillen's probably a shoo-in. And then finally, you have, I'd say, Nebraska 3. Oh, did I not make one for Ricketts? Okay, let me go to this one. Nebraska 3. Adrian Smith, he's running against David Huebner. Smith has Trump's endorsement again, so I think that's probably a shoo-in. He's been pretty straight up Trump ally, so he should be fine. I think my one critique is I did see him pushing NBTs, which are new breeding techniques for plants. They're sort of sold as a better alternative to GMOs because there's no foreign DNA is introduced, but there's still gene editing. It's like a CRISPR thing. So many, especially Maha, they are skeptical of it. He's running against David Huebner, seems to be very MAGA aligned across the board. He was in Border Patrol, so I think either would be a good pick, but again, I assume the incumbent Smith will take it with Trump's endorsement. He has a decent record. So
Don't mess with plants, though, Adrian. Watch it. I'm being silly. I love it. I love the breakdown. Very good.
Yeah. So again, one thing, Nebraska obviously feels much lighter without Don Bacon and Ben Sass anymore. So it's already ahead of the game when it comes to ousting rhinos. So that's a good thing. You do also have the Senate race with Pete Ricketts. Him and Trump did have a bit of a dust up in 2022. They endorsed different gubernatorial candidates, but for the most part, he's been an ally. And he's defended him. He defended Trump against the second impeachment hoax. He voted pretty much down the line with him. So for these reasons, I have to assume Trump was also, that's why he endorsed him for his race. And no one against him really stands out as MAGA at all anyway. In fact, a couple are even anti-MAGA. So definitely that seems like your choice there. But yeah, the one to watch is District 2. Okay, and this is going to be one to watch for the election going down. Again, it was held by Don Bacon. He's stepping down. He was definitely a rhino. So it's one more down before they ring the bell. But this is a district to watch because it's close, and there are a lot of Democrats vying for this spot right now. So for Republicans, again, you have Brinker Harding. He's running unopposed. He is America First. He's MAGA. He has President Trump's full endorsement. So it'll be important to get his name out there from now until the midterms, especially so people in Nebraska District 2 get familiar with him. That's Brinker Harding. And again, that's a very competitive seat. So you have to keep it going. And that is the rhino primary report for Nebraska for this week. And as we go on, there'll be more and more rhinos that need to get primaried out. And it's
I'm gonna make you a great rhino bumper. It's gonna be great.
Yes, do it.
I can already see it. No, but that's really great, babe. Thank you so much for breaking that down. And I know everybody from each state will appreciate it once as we go through all the primaries. It's funny, I never knew primaries played such a big part, but they do. And also, Trump just came out. It's probably 4 or 5 days ago, and he says, pay attention to the primaries. Go in and vote. Do not stay home and just do nothing and dilly-dally. Understand who you're voting for, and obviously try to make the best choice you can, but it's important. It's important to go out and do it.
Just checking up here, the Virginia redistricting, it did allegedly pass by a very slim margin.
Dear God, Virginia. That's the same thing that Obama was doing.
Yeah, plan to allow them to redraw the state congressional map for the remainder of the decade. Part of the partisan battle over redistricting happens in several states ahead of the 2026 midterm election. The proposed map would give Democrats a chance at winning 10 of Virginia's 11, a dramatic shift from the current 6-5 split in Virginia House delegation. So we'll see how that goes. That's pretty nefarious. They do it on both sides. They do. There was a pretty decent redistricting for Ohio that we went over last week, but that's that looks like, so that's a shift. If it works the way they want to, that'd be a shift of 4 seats. So it could be technically an 8 house shift.
Oh wow.
Right, 4 and 4. So we'll see how that goes. Ridiculous.
All right, so where do you want me to wrap? I got some stuff down here below. I'm not sure if you had any more stuff to cover.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, for the great rhino hunt, little Nebraska action.
Nebraska action.
A little Nebraskan. I don't know where I'm going with this.
So I will go to that. All right. This was something that happened, and it caught my eye because it is Act Blue. I know some of you guys have already seen this. I'm going to play this clip, and we'll take you to a Q post that highlights this. So Real America's Voice comes out, This was yesterday, I believe. Yep. And they say bombshell, Act Blue report. Almost all the senior leadership of Act Blue who were there in 2024, they all took the fifth. Okay, this is a quote of John Solomon. I'm going to play it so you just hear what he has to say. And we're going to go through Act Blue and what has been discovered.
Oh, yes. Just a few minutes ago over at justthenews.com, Ben Weed and I just broke a story. Remember we had Chairman Brian Style on here. He's been leading this investigation since the summer of 23. Almost all of the senior leadership of Act Blue who were there in 2024 when those hundreds of millions of dollars flowing to, they all took the fifth, according to this report that we put out. They also all are leaving out of concern of what might have happened while they were there. And there's some pretty significant red flags about suspicious donations that didn't get flagged at the time, but now look like to be problematic. This is a bombshell report. It sets up, there is a grand jury and an FBI investigation that's paralleling or shadowing what the Congress has done. Congress referred some of this evidence to them a few weeks ago.
RICO case.
It's a big story. Act Blue, John Brennan, James Comey, all in the deeps of very serious criminal investigations. And Kash Patel on TV yesterday saying, a couple weeks, 2 weeks, you're going to see some big arrests and indictments. That's consistent with what we've been reporting on the show, but there's some movement. So there's some.
I'll try to say, we've been reporting it too. But yes, hat tip to those guys. Now, what is Act Blue? It is, I go there and it says technology for people building change. Thousands of candidates and organizations use Act Blue's top tier tech to build their. Okay, so they're talking about donation and supporting, right?
Yep.
Now, about that, Gunther Eagleman puts this out and says, holy crap. So Attorney General Ken Paxton, he is, okay, let me go back. I clicked the wrong one. My bad. Sorry. One sec, guys. Okay, there we go. He says that he just revealed that one of his attorneys caught Act Blue red-handed in what appears to be fraud, and now he's suing them. We actually had my attorney go online and test it. So we're going to hear what he has to say about that. So they're actually testing, going to Act Blue and donating and seeing, can they bypass some of the guidelines and things of reporting, where is your donation coming from and all of those things. So let's see what he has to say.
The Biden administration did not pursue anything against Act Blue, and they continue to raise money. So then, of course, more recently, there was testimony from Congress by some of the Act Blue lawyers acknowledging that Act Blue had lied to Congress. They had not disclosed some of the problems with their fundraising, including potential using straw names and using names that were not matched to the actual donors, and also potential foreign investments, which is also completely illegal. So we actually tested it. We actually had my attorney go online and test it, and we were able to make donations without fully disclosing who we were. So we know.
Okay, important. We were able to test it. They went online. They didn't have to disclose who they were.
Make donations without fully disclosing who we were. So we know the site's not, and they're raising money inappropriately. So we have now sued them. We use discovery to try to understand more fully how big of a problem this is.
So I saw a story.
Okay, so that was that. And then because I heard Act Blue, my little ears were like, I know I've heard that before. I know I've heard that before. And it leads us, when you put in Act Blue, right up here, if you guys can see up there, you get 3 posts. One's like a repeat of this one. But this one is where I want you guys to focus. It says start here. Takes you to a Black Lives Matter. Says next, click donate. Takes you to this page, which I went through yesterday. This page has been removed, but it's to donate to Black Lives Matter. And then it says, who is Act Blue? Powering Democrat candidates, committees, parties. Now keep in mind, this was written 5 years and 9 months ago, okay? And that story that we just played broke yesterday.
Yep.
Okay.
When you go through the Black Lives Matter website, when you were clicking through it, at least back in 2020, when I was looking at that, it takes you to Act Blue, which donates to Democratic candidates.
It's crazy, man.
I love how the Black Lives Matter, that whole spiel, that they were just buying mansions and doing all this stuff. And the black communities that everyone donating to Black Lives Matter thought they were helping stayed exactly the same. Literally nothing happened. Just like all these BS programs. That's all they are. They're freaking ways to give their friends cushy jobs, and then they just push them around the ringer and nothing changes.
Yeah. It's so fraudulent. And they're always filling their pockets too. So it says committees, parties, organizations, and C4s around the country, D-party funding, ? All donations to BLM.com are routed through a Democrat-only funding org. It's a statement. 100% of BLM donors are Democrat, ? 100% of BLM donors agree to power Democrat candidates and committees and parties and organizations with their donations. Something to think about. What percent of BLM donations auto route to D-party affiliated networks? So it's just kind of showing you. And like I said yesterday, change BLM to Free Palestine or get ICE out or whatever the latest protest is, right? That they're pushing on you. Think this type of stuff. Expenditure 2020 cycle includes all contributions outside of BLM. What percent of total BLM donations between June 1st to July 1st went to Biden for president? What percent of total of BLM donations between June 1st and July 1st went to D-party affiliated networks? Independent audits are important, aren't they? And then this is what Q posted. I don't know if I can zoom in, but it shows that Biden for president received 119 million?
Yeah.
253,857 total in donations. So looks like their castle is crumbling. And again, this wasn't necessarily like I guess you could call it a QCOM. But I found it interesting that it says start here. And this is where we're starting. And then all the posts that you covered, Brad, earlier with, I forgot it too, the word lock in. Yeah. So we got a lot of comms guys coming down the pike. It's exciting times.
It's a beautiful freaking thing. And we have an indictment that was just handed down today, where a federal grand jury charges the Southern Poverty Law Center for wire fraud, false statements, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Boom. That is huge. It says between 2014 and 2023, the Southern Poverty Law Center secretly funneled more than $3 million in donated funds to individuals who were associated with various violent extremist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nations, and National Socialist Party of America. This is really ironic, but we all know who these people, who they really are. Here we go. There you go. The American Front and the Aryan Nation, all these different things. So the grand jury in Montgomery, Alabama today returned an indictment charging the SPLC with 11 counts of wire fraud, false statements to a federally insured bank, and conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering. The United States Attorney Office for the Middle District of Alabama, Northern Division, filed 2 forfeiture actions to recover alleged proceeds of the organization's fraud scheme. The FBI investigated this case with assistance from the IRS. This is a statement from Kash Patel. The SPLC allegedly engaged in a massive fraud operation to deceive their donors, enrich themselves, and hide their deceptive operations from the public. And they said they lied to their donors, vowing to dismantle violent extremist groups, and actually turned around and paid the leaders of these very extremist groups, even utilizing the funds to have these groups facilitate the commission of state and federal crimes. That is illegal, and this is an ongoing investigation against all individuals involved. So that means more indictments will be coming, and that is exactly what we say that they do. that they fund the people to get in, they fund the leaders, and then they cause chaos and they say, guys, white supremacy, am I right? It's like, you freaking paid for them. So this is a total freaking revelation of plants. This is
Yes.
blowing up exactly what the whole thing of plants is. And then Todd Blanche, Attorney General Blanche, says Southern Poverty Law Center is manufacturing racism to justify its existence. That right there is the $1 million statement that sums up exactly what all these people do. This is, like when they were going to kidnap Governor Whitmer, that guy, there were glowies in that group, and it was their idea to do it, and they were the ones provoking it when they didn't want to go through with it. And then obviously, so that got thrown out of court, but all the public, your liberal neighbor, all they ever heard was that a white supremacist almost captured Governor Whitmer. They didn't hear the second part where it's like, no, that was the freaking FBI trying to set up this group for a headline. So this is a pretty freaking major, at very least, depending what charges stick and what happens, the implications of this, what was just exposed, are massive.
100%. I love that you break it down to that. We were talking about it just the other day. How there's certain groups that the very people that are attacking those ones in high power, it seems the ones in high power are the ones funding those. And you control both sides. When you control both sides, you have distracted eyes, right? Control both sides, distracted eyes. Nobody's seeing what's happening outside. And wow, what a great thing. Way to go, Kash. Loving it, Kash.
Pressure from above and pressure from below. And then they squeeze the public against each other, and boom, usually ends with either lots of money being thrown around, their existence being justified, and or more legislation to take away your rights.
Exactly. 100%.
So that was pretty cool. I guess we're coming towards the end of the show here. Are there anything else you want to talk about, or maybe we just say what's up to the chat a little?
Yeah, let's say hi to chat, because chat has been rocking and rolling. We have call sign Cujo out here. So good to see you, Iron Woman. So good to see you. Crystal loves David. Rock and roll. Juice is sweet. You guys are so awesome. Nate, good to see you. We're going to go all GTG. We have Sheen. Guys, you're awesome. And future objective, build large mansions. Amen. That's what the golden age is all about. Let's go. Let's do it. And the tampon guy, I don't know if he's related. Sorry, the Waltz. I don't know if he's related to Tampon Tim. I don't know that.
Different walls. Yeah, okay, different good. Walls guy. Yeah, he seemed pretty cool, this one, the Nebraska one. Shout out to Jay Triet. He did say he had to leave a little early. He said, congratulations on your new show, Brad and Abbey. Love your positivity. We need to celebrate the wins. Love and miss you both. We love and miss you too, brother. And Mountain Mama 1017 says, so happy to see you guys back at it again. Much love. Much love to you guys. Much love to everyone hanging out. One of the best ways to support us is to hit that like button. Just game the algorithm. Leave a regular comment below. Tell us what parts of the episode you like the best, or just any comment that you have whatsoever. So it definitely helps when we're going up with that. And yeah, man, I see we got a rocking audience over here on Pilled that got shut down, unfortunately. I have to figure out what's going on with that. It was connected for the first part and then shut down. Then we also have everyone over here on Rumble. What's going on, dudes? I see you. Also, YouTube has been steadily gaining people. We're up into 40s at first. YouTube doesn't get a lot of traction.
But rock and roll YouTube, that's a lot of traction. You know what I mean? Especially since it's been a wild ride, hasn't it, Brad? It's like we used to have freedom of speech, and then we got all censored and removed. Then we came back and we were like, just trying to be careful and how do we say, camouflage, so we didn't get removed. And now X is opened again, so now we could be more speaking free again. It's just been a wild ride. My conclusion is
all over the place.
Never get rid of freedom of speech. Never let anyone say that you can't say anything. We should always keep that available for us to speak our minds. Obviously, don't be jerks, but speak your mind. And that's a good thing.
Hiding any jerks in here?
I could use other words, but I'm gonna try to keep a G here. Kind of, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe while we're here, I will tell everyone about Rumble Wallet. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, you can tip us.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw that out there.
The Rumble Wallet is a wonderful, wonderful thing. They can cancel your accounts. They could freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it, unfortunately. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. And introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you can control your money. You can control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. So yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom.
Rock and roll.
And I have it, Rumble Wallet. It's really cool. And we already got a couple tips in Bitcoin from it, which is awesome. And it allows you to tip on any video, which I really like that feature. And yeah, so Rumble Wallet is cool stuff. Also, Rumble Premium. So yeah, here, free ad for Rumble Premium. It's the way to go, guys. Definitely, I would check it out. And if you're watching over on my YT, come over to Rumble and give me a follow over here. Give us both a follow over here. Same name, same bat channel. Yeah.
All right, Brad, before we go out, should we I got that one video I made.
Yes, we would definitely do it.
And then maybe we'll just lead out with the outro. So if you want, we could say, unless you got anything else, because I always have stuff, but
I mean, yeah, obviously we could talk all night. It's funny because last week afterwards, we did a lot of times. Yeah, after we're done working for the day, Abby and I will blow off steam. We'll play a little Fortnite or various other things. But so we've been just live streaming it, some of it on our Rumbles, just for the heck of it. Why not? And it's funny, most of the times we're just talking about the game or just bullshitting about whatever. But every now and then we start going into these other conversations that are kind of left over from this show. So it almost becomes like an after show in a weird way. At least last week's did when we did it right after the show. I noticed that.
I wonder if so the random gamers jump on, right? They're all getting red pilled as they're listening. They're like, Federal Reserve.
What's going on? You got to lure them in. Yeah, the first half hour, you're just talking Fortnite. And then wait a second.
Slowly lure them in. Yeah, 100%.
I love it. So that's another reason to get premium, because we do our gaming typically on premium for the most part.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But maybe we'll do your video and then go right into the outro.
All right. Rock your roll. And guys, thank you so much for watching over on my channel. I see you all over here. And yes, the RICO, 100%. I've been waiting for that. I think that is definitely coming down the pike. We've had people in trusted positions saying that something's coming down the pike. So, hey, I'm just grab my popcorn. I'm here to report it. And all of you guys out there, digital soldiers, that's what we're all to do. So take all this information, because the fake news will not cover it. In fact, they're going to take what Trump's doing and they're going to say, look at this terrible thing he did when he did such a great thing. So it's up to us to spread the truth to the people. Share the show if you guys liked it. Please give us thumbs up and follow us. Subscribe helps. And yeah, sounds good. And Brad, of course, I love doing shows with you.
Things that Blue Eyes just told you to do.
Yeah.
Do it right now. I have high authority that you should probably listen to her or things will get bad.
So when they're putting out all the Paul Revere posts and all these comms, and specifically Trump doing his boom, 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 that brilliant video, Brad, by the way, of that. And it'd be great if you put that out on like your socials or something, because I know you put that on YouTube, I believe. Wonderful breakdown.
Yeah, sure.
It inspired me. I'm like, the Anon in me has just awoken viciously. So I pieced this together real quick on the fly. Hope you guys enjoy it. And again, this is exciting times. You're coming into the golden age. And I am so happy to be just standing shoulder to shoulder with you all. And of course, Brad, it's awesome to be with you. And yeah, rock and roll, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
There are connections to the language.
Well,
I'm
the
not talking
QAnon
about,
people believe there are. So
I don't know what QAnon people believe.
Have at it.